Hi, this is Algebra 2, Lesson 88. We're going to talk about the distance formula and this formula PV equals nRT. We're starting on page 364. Okay, the distance formula. We've learned the Pythagorean theorem, which is if we have a right triangle and C is the hypotenuse and A and B are the legs, then we can find the length of the hypotenuse if we know A and B. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared, or C equals the square root of A squared plus B squared. Right? We have done that many times. From this, we are going to find a distance formula, which is the distance between 2 points. So, here we have a graph. We have this point, -2 and 3, and this point, 4 and -4. To find the distance between these 2 points, we can graph the points and draw a line between them. And then, if we drew a line from this point to the right and traveled along the same y coordinate, and from this line up and traveled along the same x coordinate, they would meet right here. Okay? Now we have a right triangle. We can call this side A, this side B, and this side C. And this side is the distance between this point and this point. Okay? Now the length of this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 6 spaces. We also could have done that by saying 4 minus -2. So it's 4 places to here and 2 more places to here. That's 6. This distance from this point to this point is 3 minus -4, which is 7. We can count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So the length of A is 6, the length of B is 7, and this is a right triangle. So we know that C is going to equal the square root of A squared plus B squared, or it's going to equal the square root of 6 squared, which is 36, plus 7 squared, which is 49. And that actually equals 85. So the square root of 85 is what C equals. Okay? We can find this out without having to draw the whole triangle thing. Because this distance is the difference between the x coordinates from here to here. And this distance is the difference in the y coordinates from here to here. So if we have 2 points, 4 and -4, and -2 and 3, we can find the length of this line by adding the squares of the differences in the x and y coordinates and then taking the square root. And that will give us this line, which is the distance between both the squares. That sounds really complicated when spoken, but the formula isn't that bad. So the distance between 2 points is the square root of y2 minus y1 quantity squared plus x2 minus x1 quantity squared. Okay? Just like when we were doing the slope formula in the last lesson, it doesn't really matter which point we make number 1 and number 2 as long as x2 and y2 come from the same ordered pair, and x1 and y1 come from the same ordered pair. So, our points were -2 and 3, and 4 and -4, and I think green will be easier to see. Let's pull this one out. -2 and 3, and 4 and negative 4. Okay, so the distance, the difference in the y, we call this 2 and this 1, just to pick one. This is going to be the distance equals the square root of 3 minus 4 squared, minus 4, so that's actually going to be 3 plus 4, plus negative 2 minus 4 squared. Okay, so D equals the square root of 7 squared plus negative 6 squared, which equals the square root of 49 plus 36, which equals the square root of 85, which is exactly what we came up with before. So here's an example. Use the distance formula to find the distance between 4 and negative 2 and negative 5 and 3. Okay? So our distance formula is D equals y2 minus y1 squared, quantity squared, plus x squared minus x1, quantity squared. Right? So D is going to equal the square root of, let's call this 1 and this 2. So we have 3 minus negative 2 squared plus negative 5 minus 4 squared, which equals, this cancels, and we have 5 squared, which is 25, and this is negative 9 squared, which is 81. So that equals 106. Distance equals the square root of 106. And there are no nice factors of 106 that are squares. Nope. So that's going to be our answer. Okay, let's move on to the relationship of PV equals nRT. Isn't that a nice formula? P equals pressure in atmospheres. V equals volume in liters. N is the number of moles of gas. A mole is 6 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. Something you will learn in chemistry. R is a constant, 0.0821. Every time you do these, you're going to get reminded what the R is, so you don't need to memorize that. T is temperature. It's always in kelvins when we're using this formula. So if they give you the answer in Celsius, you need to subtract 273 degrees to get the kelvins. Okay? 1 Kelvin is negative 273 degrees. Okay, you are going to see PV equals nRT in physics and in chemistry. Today we're just going to be punching in known values into the problem and solving for one of the variables. Okay, so here's the first one. Use the relationship PV equals nRT to find the number of moles in an amount of gas when the temperature is 273 Kelvin, the pressure is 1 atmosphere, and the volume is 8 liters. R equals 0.0821. See, they're always going to give you that. So for right now, you don't need to memorize it. All right, we want to find the number of moles, which is the N in our equation. So let's start by solving for N. PV equals nRT. So N is going to equal PV over RT, right? Okay, now that we know that, we can punch in these numbers. So the pressure is 1 atmosphere. The volume is 8 liters. All over R, which is 0.0821, times the temperature in Kelvin. So this is 273 degrees Kelvin, which is actually 1 degree Celsius, right? Actually, it's 0 Celsius. Okay, pull out your calculator, punch this in, and you are going to have 0.357 moles of the gas, which is still an awful lot of molecules. Okay, let's try another one. Use the formula PV equals nRT to find the volume of 0.832 moles of a gas at a pressure of 3 atmospheres and a temperature of 400 Kelvin. R equals 0.0821. Okay, so now we are going to find volume. So let's solve our formula for volume. If PV equals nRT, then volume is going to equal nRT over P, right? So let's just punch in these numbers. We've got volume equals the number of moles is 0.832. R is our constant, 0.0821. The temperature is 400 Kelvin, all divided by the pressure, which is 3. The answer to this mess is 9.11 liters, and that's your answer. Okay, that's it for that lesson. Try the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much.